All right, hello. I know I'm a little late to this party or to this trend or whatever, but I decided that I wanted to draw my life for you guys, so here we go. I guess it all started in Northern California, where I was born and raised. My parents didn't think that they could have a kid naturally, so I was kind of an accident. My parents like to say that I was a pleasant surprise. So I was born into a family of 5. My oldest brother, I had 2 brothers and a sister, but my oldest brother loved music like the Spice Girls and Britney Spears, and he would braid my hair and play dress up with me, and he came out as gay in 8th grade, and he taught me to not judge people so much, which is kind of cool. Then my second oldest brother was like the complete opposite. He was your typical big brother. He would tickle us until we cried and chase us around the house, and he was really handy and really into construction, and that's what he does now. My dad is Japanese. He moved here when he was 17, and he has never really said much, or he doesn't talk a lot, but he's always been super supportive of like sports and trying new things and stuff. My mom is a badass. She is a cancer survivor. She went through chemo when I was like in 2nd grade or something. She's always been a really successful businesswoman and is kind of like a superhero to me and everyone else in the family, as corny as that is. My sister is small but mighty. She's always been really into sports, was always a tomboy, really, really good at soccer, but she is the best sister, always has been. And then there's me. Growing up was really cool and really special because I grew up on a farm. I spent a ton of my time outside, like finding bugs and getting dirty and playing with mud and all that, and I loved it. I loved being outside. I was a super, super happy kid. My favorite thing about being on the farm was that we had a ton of animals, so I had a bunch of animal friends. I had a pig named Bella. I raised her from a piglet. I had a goat named Froyo. I bottle raised him also. He used to sleep with me on the floor in the house. And I had a cat named Hachi, and I cuddle with him all the time. But my favorite animal that we had by far, and the first animal that I ever truly fell in love with, was our pony, Katie. I started riding her when I was 4, and I became a horse girl really, really fast. So because I liked animals so much, my mom really wanted me to do 4-H. 4-H is like, it's kind of like Girl Scouts, but for animals and for agriculture. So I did a ton of animal projects in 4-H. I did like guinea pigs and alpacas and dogs and mini horses and a ton of others, but I ended up sticking with rabbits and goats, dairy goats. So I bred rabbits and showed them, and my rabbits bred like rabbits, so I had like over 30 at one point. Which is kind of nuts. And then I also got really into breeding dairy goats, and I made a lot of friends in 4-H that were really into animals too, and we would spend our summers at the county fair, eating corn dogs and cotton candy and hanging out with our animals and stuff, and those are some of the best memories that I have. Some of my fondest memories from when I was a kid is being at the county fair. So I got to middle school. Middle school was awkward. I had really stringy hair, really gross bangs. I wore shirts that I thought were funny that weren't funny. I wore plaid capris, and I had this horrible, horrible unibrow. So we'll just skip middle school because it really wasn't that interesting. Then I got into high school. My first friend in high school was actually who became my best friend, which is kind of crazy and surprised everyone because we are complete and total opposites. Her name's Melissa. She had dyed hair, ripped jeans, wore bandanas. She was really into heavy metal. And then I was this like goody two-shoes, really innocent girl. And yeah, we were super different, but for some reason we got along really, really well. And we would hang out all the time and shoot the shit while we were eating hot Cheetos and listening to heavy metal music. And I actually had a swear jar for Melissa because I didn't swear until my sophomore year of high school, and I didn't like when she swore, but eventually I started contributing to that jar because I started taking after Melissa a little bit. But I don't talk to Melissa much anymore, but I love her a lot, and I credit her for teaching me how to not take shit, but also how to be really warm, and I appreciate her a lot for that. So eventually in high school, I got a boyfriend, and like most high school relationships, it went up in flames. We had a pretty gnarly breakup. It was really bad, and he actually got suspended for some of the stuff that happened between us, and the whole school knew about it. So we shared a lot of friends, and it was really awkward to have those same friends after that breakup, so I kind of ditched all of them and went my own way, but that left me super lost, and I didn't have many friends anymore, and I would tell my teachers that I needed help with stuff at lunch and whatever, just so I wasn't alone, which is super lame and kind of sad, but it wasn't like that forever. Eventually, I started making more friends. I was doing better. I got a new boyfriend, and I got accepted to Cal Poly, which was huge because that was my dream university always. So after I graduated high school, me and my horse packed up, and we took off and moved to Cal Poly, and it was super, super exciting. College was awesome. I met a bunch of friends. I was doing really, really well in school. I had intramural sports that I was playing. I was volunteering at a homeless shelter, and that made me really happy, going to parties. But there was always something that was missing when I was in college, and I didn't realize what it was until about halfway through. When I thought about it, I realized that I really missed my best friends from home, my animal friends. So I got on my computer and I looked up volunteering with animals, and that's how I found the zoo. I met hundreds of animal ambassadors at the zoo, and I was so excited about all of it. It opened up my world completely, expanded everything. I had no idea that there were so many animals, so many more animals that I didn't know about that I could love just as much as the ones from home. So I had never been so excited or passionate about something so fast. I was just thrilled. And before I knew it, I had my own animal best friends again. I had more animal best friends, like my umbrella cockatoo, Sydney, and Maya, the spider monkey, and Lady, the opossum, and so many more. And there was so much to learn about all of them. I was so, so excited, and I just fell in love with them, and then fell in love with the natural world. I realized that it was home to so many cool and beautiful things that I didn't know about, and I was just completely captured. But right when I fell in love, I learned that the world that I loved was in danger, and that the homes of the animals that I had grown to love at the zoo were being just decimated. So it didn't take me long to realize that this was it. And this is like my life purpose. This is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. So I wrote up a resume and I sent it to like every facility in the county that was doing anything related to conservation. And I got an internship. And the internship was at the zoo that I was volunteering at already with the animals that I already loved. I became an education and outreach intern, which means that I would take animals out to birthday parties and events and hospitals and everything, and I would teach people about my animal friends. And I got to see people's eyes light up in crowds, and I got to see my love of the natural world be inspired in other people because of what I was doing. And it was like, I was hooked. I still am. When I was doing conservation outreach, I was also doing zookeeping. I was working some weeks I was at the zoo like 60 hours plus doing zookeeping, but I loved it. We have a bird of prey yard at the zoo, and I started taking notice of the birds, and I thought that they were actually pretty cool, even though I had never really been interested in birds before. But at the end of my internship, things changed a lot. My boyfriend of 5 years broke up with me, and I was just completely shattered. And it gets a little bit dark from here. I started going to therapy like 4 times a week, and I got on an antidepressant, Lexapro, and it didn't work for me. I was just feeling super, super lost and super alone and confused and miserable. I was miserable, and it got to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. I lost interest in everything that I ever cared about, and it was really, really bad. And then in September of 2018, I was suicidal. One night, my friend found me and took me to the emergency room, and from there to a crisis intervention center. And I was held there for 72 hours. And more than anything, I was really embarrassed and ashamed. My ex-boyfriend and all my friends and my parents, they didn't know how bad it was. And I felt like I broke their hearts, and that really sucked. And at this point, I just really wanted to disappear. But when I got out of the unit, I tried really hard to force myself to spend time outside because that's where I knew I was the most at home, even though I was still sad. I started noticing birds, and I remember the birds at the zoo and how I started taking interest in them. And I started kind of getting excited about them and realized that birds were something that was completely my thing. And it gave me something to be excited about again, and that made me a little less sad. So I dove headfirst into learning about birds, and I got my falconry license. I started working with the birds at the zoo, and at the zoo, one day we got in a sick redtail, and everybody wanted to put him down because he was super emaciated and not doing well. And I said that I would take him and see if I could rehabilitate him and release him. And that bird's name was Bean, and he was my first bird of prey. So around this time, I was also making a lot of new friends online, on Discord, and they were streamers on Twitch also. They followed my Instagram, and some of them saw the videos that I was making. I was making these small singing videos just for fun, and they said that I should stream. And at the time, I was still on this grind of trying a bunch of new things and finding myself and creating myself, so I figured, why not? So my stream started super awkward. I did these really awkward singing streams on my bed, and I was so nervous. And every time I had like 10 viewers or something, I would picture 10 people just staring at me. It was terrifying. But then one day, I was talking about falconry, and I brought my bird out. I brought Bean out on stream, and somebody clipped me and Bean and put it on a subreddit called Livestream Fail. And that's when stuff started getting pretty crazy. All of a sudden, everything that I did was being clipped and put on LSF. I did this, I did that, like everything. And it all happened before my channel was growing, before I had the chance to realize what was going on. I didn't know anything about Twitch. I didn't know anything about streaming. I didn't know what was happening. And it was really nuts, and I was really, really overwhelmed. But it ended up being really cool because I met a lot of people. I got to fly to Texas, and I met some pretty special people who I've come to love dearly, and they care a lot about me also. I also started a conservation podcast where I talk to biologists and conservationists about the world and about the species that inhabit it. And we raise money every week for conservation causes, and it's been going super, super well. And I'm so excited about it. So now, I still don't really know how it happened. But now I get to take my passion for animals and for the world, and I get to share it with everyone, and I can't believe it. It's my dream. So I just want to say thank you for supporting me and joining me in wanting to keep our world as beautiful and as healthy as it can be. I couldn't be happier to be in the position that I'm in, and I just want to do really good things with it, and so far it's been going really well. So thank you so much. So my Twitch channel is just Maya now. My Instagram, if you want to follow it, is Maya_Higa. Lots of animal stuff on there. My Twitter is mayahiga6, and on my Twitch channel, every Friday we do the podcast. I would love it if you guys came by and learn something about our beautiful world. I know this video is a little bit different, but I would really appreciate if you guys liked and subscribed. And I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!